Hi YouTube. um, I want to try to do a little sharing of some critical thinking that I've been doing and tie everything together about our lives, history, and like the cost of living, grocery prices, the cost of rent, um, politics, um, influences like our music and our culture, and how this has to do with history. I'm just going to try to make this coherent and short as possible. Um, so, first of all, like this P. Diddy thing, right? In the music industry. For a long time, especially like in the 90s, early 2000s, I was always hearing about um, the Illuminati infiltrated the music industry. And it has become something different where we used to make a lot of music used to be about love, like Marvin Gaye, the Temptations, the Supremes, Diana Ross, Tina Turner, all the greats, you know, Al B. Sure, it was all about love. Most of it was about love. And now the music industry, it's a lot of violence, gang banging, calling women hoes and bitches. It's very disrespectful. Talk about just doing drugs and murdering all the time. So it went from love to like almost a hate thing. Your talking about the ops all the time. Your enemies and shit. How you gonna do them in or whatever? Doing people dirty and shit, making licks. You know, taking advantage of your brothers and sisters for money, financial gain. So that's what it went from one side of the spectrum to another, and they're saying a lot of that had to do with Illuminati influence. Another thing was controlling. So that's like controlling music, kind of like the media. Another thing was like the satanic sex orgies, like the P Diddy parties, the freak offs, and he was recording them, and there was a lot of homosexuality, a lot of sex, having sex with minors, and they would use these videos to blackmail people, extort them, use that for power and influence. So they would invite these celebrities and these politicians, right? And unknowingly, they were being videotaped having sex with minors and homosexuality, doing, drugs and, you know, embarrassing stuff. Probably, that would be that would ruin your career. So they have the power to end your career because the Illuminati, they saying, infiltrated the media, the music, and the politics. Well, this is how. So this is we're tying back in. Let's go back. I just want to go back. Who is the Illuminati? Basically, they're saying that they are our creators. Um, Science. There's is a bunch of lies. History books, school, they teach you a bunch of lies. The school books were created by Europeans, these white people that supposedly discovered America. Christopher Columbus discovered America. He did not. There were black and brown people here that were slaughtered by the Europeans. And then they said, oh, they're savages. And then they stole their land and then enslaved them. Not all slaves came from Africa. There were brown and black people here already. So not all slaves came from Africa. The Europeans came here, killed everyone, enslaved them, and then rewrote the history books. And they said, oh, we were the first ones here. But there's nobody here to refute or deny that because they're all dead. So history is a lie. It was written by white people, for white people, to make them look great. Oh, we were the first ones here. We discovered this land. No, they didn't. They didn't. It's all a lie. It's a fucking lie. And that's how you have the Piri Reis maps, because Portugal, under the Knights Templar, which is also the beginning of the new Illuminati, they were doing trade for 50 years before Christopher Columbus came here. That they created the Piri Reis maps 50 years before Christopher Columbus ever discovered discovered America. And that's where those maps came from. Portugal, the Knights Templar, had been doing trade with Native Americans for half a century. Okay, let's go into history. Anunnaki. All of this stuff that I'm telling you, it's in this book right here, Behold a Pale Horse by William Bill Cooper. I bring this up a lot. I read this over 20 years ago. This is prophecy. It talks about Bible prophecy. Everything in this book is happening that I read about 20 years ago is now happening. And they talk about, first of all, Anunnaki. Who are they? They are our creators. Extraterrestrials from another planet, or aliens, or they look like us. They basically just look like us, but they're smarter. And so they came here to mine the gold because something was wrong with their planet. War or something with the atmosphere. They needed gold for the atmosphere to protect it from the sun. So they would make dust, gold dust particles, which are very reflective. It would heal the atmosphere. So they came here to mine the gold. They found it very difficult. They had the Agigi. This is all in the Bible. This is in the Sumerian tablets. The Agigi were working for a long time for them. They had no women. They were just slaves. They did this voluntarily, but they said they were tired. So they revolted. And so the Anunnaki said, hey, we'll give you some women. Supposedly they were sent to Mars or something. But they were given women. And then they said, we're going to make Homo sapiens, I guess. They didn't have a name for us. They called us Adamu, or Adam, for the first man. And so they started doing genetic manipulation, where they eventually took the beasts of the land, which is like the Neanderthal or Bigfoot, and then mixed us with their DNA. If you ever watched this video called by Lloyd Pye, Everything is a Lie, it explains how Darwinism is a lie. There's a big gap from going from, they say Darwinism or evolution, they say we evolved from monkeys into humans. There's no fucking way. If you look at evolution, there's like a 300 billion year gap that goes from evolution from this species to where we're walking upright. There's no way. There's no fossil record. Science cannot prove evolution theory. Darwinism is a bunch of shit. That science, which was created by white people because they don't want you to know the truth, by the Anunnaki. So the Anunnaki, which is our creator, they took Neanderthal, mixed it with their DNA so that we could be slaves, so we could mine the gold. However, they wanted us to be, they didn't really care about us too much. So they made us, that's why we have like hip pain and back pain as we get older. We're not really designed that well. At least not to be like this earth, like the earth creatures here. So we have these physical ailments and stuff as we get older. Also, they didn't want us to be as smart as them. So we only use 10% of our brain. So they are our creators, the Anunnaki. These came here, they created us to mine the gold. They created, the Anunnaki were basically the first Egyptian pharaohs. They created the pyramids. And so they were saying they were able to be, they were telepathic and telekinetic, which is what happens when you can use the rest of your brain. Also, they could do interdimensional travel. They could transfer their consciousness to other bodies, which was also talked about in the Emerald Tablets by Thoth. So they had immortality, the ability of immortality, basically. And also they could remember their past lives after reincarnation. But this is because they could use more than 10% of their brain. So basically the Egyptian pharaohs who had the slaves, which were us, eventually there was revolting. And so they had like, Moses came down, Jesus came down and tried to save their people and show them, the true God, or whatever, something sent like Jesus, his son, or whatever. But supposedly the Anunnaki, they were supposed to be here as watchers, but they started parading themselves as gods. And then they started showing us, teaching us stuff that was forbidden knowledge, how to make weapons, alchemy, magic, black magic, stuff like that. And, you know, sleeping with the women and creating Nephilim and all this stuff. Anyways, eventually there were revolts, which is what happens in history all the time. The Ajiji revolted. The slaves always revolt. It's like Marxism. The Ajiji slaves revolted. Then the human slaves started revolting. And what happens is they kill the king, and because they have it, they're rich, have all the gold, and we're doing all the work. So they kill the pharaoh, they kill the king, or have a revolt, and then a new king is installed, and then the cycle repeats itself. Eventually, a lot of these Anunnaki Egyptians, they started migrating up north. They heard about the Queen of England and the dukes and the lords and all this puffery and fanciness and money and power and influence that they had. So they started working their way up north, took a bunch of slaves, and then they started intermingling and dating and sleeping with royalty. And so they, you know, brought a lot of wealth with them, gold, all this fancy stuff, all these riches. And so they combined their wealth with the kings and queens of England, and they started having kids, and so some of them started becoming white in appearance, when some of them were like brown skin. So those different races or whatever of Anunnaki. And so eventually they come over under the Queen of England. That's who paid for Christopher Columbus to come here. And then they tax us or whatever. So basically they are in control. Then they try to keep us in control here. We have the Declaration of Independence. We have the War of Independence, supposedly. But somehow they always find themselves to get back in power, in politics, influence. And so they send people here, and basically all of our presidents come from Anunnaki bloodline. It's all in that book, Behold a Pale Horse. They're saying George Bush, Obama, George Washington, basically like 90% of our presidents have Anunnaki bloodline somewhere down the line. So this is like an ancient culture, civilization that have been in power, controlling us as slaves since our creation, since the beginning of time. Like, we're just a fucking experiment. And so it's an experiment to keep us in control, to see how long it takes us to wake up. And so what's happening is, how do they do this? How do they keep us under control? That's what they want, though. That's what they want. They don't want us to wake up. It takes an education or critical thinking to, figure some of this out and really put things together. And so in order to prevent that, they have to destroy our education. So they send us to public schools from birth. They teach us all the lies. Christopher Columbus discovered America. We evolved from monkeys. No, we are fucking gods. We have divine God DNA, our creator God. If you take a cup of water out of the sea, it is a cup of water, but it's still not the ocean, it is the sea. Same thing, if God created you from this one source, you are still God, because you come from God. You're just a small part of it, but you are still fucking God. So they try to teach us that we're monkeys and we're not gods, when we have the same divine spark or soul, and the ability to ascend and evolve spiritually, mentally, like dimensionally, like immortal. We are immortal. We are immortal because we are light. We are energy. Energy cannot be created nor destroyed. This is just a physical body, but our soul, our essence, we are a fractal hologram, and we are light. We are energy. We are all frequencies. If you ever have like a third eye opening or enlightenment experience, you'll actually see what I'm talking about. It's like you'll see that you'll see like the light, your heart chakras light up, all your chakras light up. You'll see radio frequencies. You'll see like the radio and sound coming out of your mouth is like a different color because they're different frequencies. Anyways, I digress. Okay, so this Illuminati stuff. They basically infiltrate the media, the music, the politics. They've been doing this since the beginning of time. So here they are now, back to P. Diddy, right? Having these sex parties, blackmail, extortion, controlling the music, the media, and the politics, and basically he's getting away with murder or whatever all these years. Supposedly Puff Daddy and Jay-Z, they had a bunch of people killed, like Kim Porter, shooting in the club with JLo in the 90s, Jay-Z's baby mama, when she came out saying that she was going to go public with them having a child, she died in less than 24 hours. And then all the stuff that you don't even hear about. They're saying they had this something to do with Aaliyah's death and all that. She was unconscious when they took her on the plane, whatever. So basically, there's Puff Daddy for over 20 years has this influence in all these tapes on everyone. So for the last 20 years, he's been controlling a lot of the politicians, so he can get away with sex trafficking, murder, drugs, racketeering, money laundering, all this stuff. Now, the people on these tapes, they're saying that there's people like JLo, Jay-Z, Beyonce, Kevin Hart, Kim Kardashian, Obama. They've got Epstein. They've got pictures of Kamala with P. Diddy and stuff. And what's funny is that you're seeing, like, now Beyonce and JLo, they're just doing these shows to help with Harris's campaign. Because, like, I think they know they're going to get indicted. And they know that Kamala's going to be the president. And they need those presidential pardons. It's funny. And like, you know what? What if Kamala gives them a fucking presidential pardon? I mean, JLo was young or whatever when, she snuck the gun in the club for P. Diddy. They was probably scared to testify because, like I said, he got the tapes and stuff. They know he can get away with murder. So nobody's going to snitch on P. Diddy, especially before he got raided and, he got taken off the streets and he's no longer a threat. Now everyone's coming out. And all these victims of sex trafficking, these minors, they're also talking about all the celebrities and politicians that were also had to do with this, that are also guilty. So there's going to be a lot of these more arrests coming out, and they're going to be celebrities, politicians. They're just building cases right now. They're using the witnesses. They're using the videotapes. And it's all has to do with keeping us in the dark, or not knowing that all this is going on behind the scenes. I want to kind of wrap this up and how, like, politics is playing a part of this, because you got a lot of politicians on these tapes. So we are struggling right now. It's people are complaining about groceries, the cost of living, the price of gas, everything. And there is something called an economic war. The first chapter in that book, Behold a Pale Horse, is called Silent Weapons for Quiet Wars. That's the first chapter. There's an economic war against us, the people of the United States. And the way that they defeat us and attack us is, one, keeping the education low so you don't do critical thinking, so that you cannot figure this out, so that you don't see what's going on behind the scenes, how they control the media, the politics, the music, and it's all influencing us. They have control over everything. And like, I see a lot of people complaining about, the food, cost of living, and I want to tell you, like, the root cause of inflation was when we came off the gold standard, when Richard Nixon started printing money that was not backed by gold. That's when inflation really started. So inflation would keep going up, but our wages were not. And so come today, when we see the highest spike in inflation, which was started by Trump, he's part of the elite rich people. He gave a big tax break for the rich people. So we didn't take in, billions of dollars worth of tax money. And then we got the Ukraine-Israel wars going on. We owe money to China, Japan, and stuff. And so now we don't have the money to pay for all this stuff because we didn't take in tax money from the rich people. So what do? We borrow the fucking money from the rich people that we just gave it to, and they start charging us interest. We have to pay for that. Okay, we're getting fucked both ways. So the tax breaks for the rich, that was Trump's first thing when he got in office. Number two that he did, he started a trade war with China using 100% tariffs, which created 100% inflation. And then we stop importing stuff from China, or we get less. And so now there's no competition for American companies to increase their prices, because we used to get the cheap stuff from China, but now there's 100% tariff on it. We have a trade war with them. So American companies start raising their prices. There is no price competition. They have no competitor because all the Chinese stuff has been stopped. There's no more imports coming in, or less. There's a lot less, which creates inflation. American companies can charge whatever the fuck they want to now. There's no fucking ops. There's no competition. There's no Chinese stuff anymore. Then COVID happens. Donald Trump fucked that up. He shut down the government. He shut down everything, and which created a backlog of supply chains. There was nothing you could do to stop COVID, really. It was going to kill people anyway. It's going to kill people. You can't stop it once it spreads. It doesn't matter if you shut down whatever. And even now, it's like, all of a sudden they just said, okay, just go back to work one day. One day it's just go back to work. Fuck it. There's nothing we can do. We gave out, all 3 vaccines, booster shots and everything. People are still there's nothing he could have done. But he doesn't want to admit or take responsibility for that. People were going to die. They were just going to fucking die. It's just, survival of the fittest. You got a lot of people that died. They were old people, sick people. I think it was a conspiracy by the insurance companies because they got tired of paying medical bills for people that were not working. Old people and people that were on life support, people that were on medication, that were retired, that just stayed home, that did not work or contribute. They were just sucking the money from the medical insurance companies. And I think that the whole COVID thing was designed to get rid of the problem of the rich people, because they own all the companies, they own all the insurance companies. And there's these old people that are staying at home not working, they're not contributing to taxes or anything like that. Fuck them, kill them, get rid of them. That's more money in our pocket. Okay, then the stimulus after the COVID, when we fucking shut down the government, nobody has a job anymore. We're printing more money, giving out more money, which is causing for unemployment, which is causing more inflation. Unemployment was thanks to Donald Trump for shutting down the government, shutting down everything. So then Donald Trump gives out 2 rounds of stimulus. So he printed out more money, which caused more inflation. Then he leaves office, Biden comes. And Biden is just like having to start from right after COVID, when Donald Trump just created the highest amount of unemployment in history. The stock market crashed. The economy was going to shit because of the inflation was already beginning. It was just starting. We hadn't really seen the effects because nobody had a job. Nobody was going to work. Everyone was staying at home. So we really wasn't out, doing a lot of shopping, doing a lot of spending. But as soon as Biden comes back, he gets, employment starts going back up. People start going back to work. They start spending more money. Now they're starting to see, the cost of living is going up. There's all this inflation. Well, that started with Trump. That's Trump's fault. Now, Biden didn't do anything to fucking fix it. He didn't stop the tax breaks for the rich. He tried to, but Congress, the Republicans, would not pass it in the Senate. But he didn't fix that, partly because the Congress and Senate is Republican owned, or they're in power there. You need to vote and get them out of there. He didn't stop the 100% Chinese tariffs, or go back to the Obama era when we had free trade with China. And then he gave out a round of stimulus also. They just started printing money out of the blue. Then we're giving all this money away to Israel and Ukraine, and we don't have the money, so we just have to print more money or just borrow it from the rich people. All of that causes inflation. And then it's just he didn't. It's like they're both. Trump started this shit. The Trump people call it Bidenomics, but really, this is Trump's fault. But Biden is not any better, and so this goes back to, how the Anunnaki or our creators, they try to keep us in control, and it's all in that book, and it talks about keeping people dumb, don't get an education so that they are easily manipulated or controlled. Keep them financially poor, so they have to work. They want to keep us working, so that we don't have time for school, so that we don't have time to think about or realize what's going on. So keep us poor, keep us hurting, keep us slaves, keep us working. Do not raise the wages, but fucking increase the cost of living. Make them suffer. Make them fucking grovel, make them fucking slaves for life. You have to work in 8 12-hour shifts, you know what I mean, every single day. Just keep us busy, so we don't have time to think, we don't have time to go to school, we don't have time to use any kind of critical thinking and try to see what's really going on. And then so they control the media, right? So basically, you got this Illuminati that has been controlling us since the beginning of time. And they have always been like the people in power, the royalty, the pharaohs, the kings. When they came here, they were all the presidents. All the presidents, they're all the people that get elected to office, that play politics. So politicians are like the new kings, right? The president is like the king of America. And it's all, America is now like a corporation, a business. They're just using us as their workers or slaves. And basically, the Illuminati, the Anunnaki, they're still in power. They're still, getting elected as presidents, as politicians and stuff like that. And again, some of them are Anunnaki, and then some of them are just under the control, because they use the satanic sex orgies, and they get them on tape doing gay stuff, having sex with minors, doing drugs, just weird stuff. And then, they use that as blackmail. So that's how, the Illuminati or Anunnaki, they infiltrated the politicians. You know what I'm saying? If they're not already Illuminati, Anunnaki themselves, then they control you, everyone else, with the sex, with the scandals and stuff. And then if you don't fall in line, they put you out, they control the media, and they destroy your career with the media because they control the media. So basically, it's so fucking complex. You have to read this book. This book is deep. It talks about everything that our current economic situation. It talks about 9/11. It talks about the Draco reptilians, the Anunnaki, why they have to dominate or keep us in control, and how they, like I said, they're extraterrestrials, ancient. They've been here, and it talks about Middle Earth, Agartha, and how a lot of reptilians, in the tall whites, the Pleiadians, which were basically from Atlantis, and they live in the Middle Earth. They live. There's a bunch of caves. There's a big hole at the North Pole and South Pole. How to get into Agartha, or the center Earth, and they're saying that there's like a different sun, or like core. Like the light is, it's like it talks about it in detail. But there's a lot of YouTube videos about Agartha, or center Earth, where the elves live, where the Anunnaki, there's Atlanteans, Anunnaki, a bunch of extraterrestrials. They saying they're still like dinosaurs and stuff like that. In Middle Earth. Admiral Byrd has a diary documenting it, and there's a bunch of stories about Admiral Byrd from the Navy, and he went into Agartha, and they're saying like they have the Nazi UFOs, and that's why you see a lot of UFOs going into mountain caves, into the ocean, coming out of lakes, because that's how they go into Middle Earth. So all the UFOs are not coming from outer space, they're coming from within the Earth. That's where the extraterrestrials, the reptilians, they all live inside the Earth, in Middle Earth, Agartha. Live in, they're cave dwelling people. They, just like in Mars, they're on Mars. They made caves in Mars, and also the moon. I mean, that's kind of, that's a smart thing if you want to never go extinct, because in history, supposedly, our Earth goes extinct every 3,600 years. There's cycles where maybe Nibiru or a crater or something like that comes in contact with us. It causes a pole shift or craters to hit or something, and then it causes an ice age and basically an extinction level event. And the only people that survive will be the ones inside the caves or deep within Earth. That is the only safe place to be during a pole shift. So that's how they survived. You know, whenever we go extinct, and all these, you know, the pole shift usually is like there's always a flood myth, a flood story in every culture, and they're saying that that's what happens basically. And they go inside, they get in their UFOs, they go inside the center of the Earth. You know, extinction level event happens, and they take some of us with them, and then or some people survive by going into caves also. But that's how they survived. They just get in their spaceships, they go into center Earth, they go out to wherever, and then they come back and start over again. And then, and when we get out of control or out of hand or something like that, sometimes, I don't know. History repeats itself. This is the longest that we have ever gone, though, without a revolution. This is the longest that we've had like a continual, like the present art, like government. We've not had any kind of change. So, and they've been corrupting us and changing it in the way that they want, so that they're getting the most money out of us. They're making it harder for us to live. It's harder to be like a working middle class, upper class, if they're trying to create just poverty, poor class, and rich class. So it's us versus them. There is no in between. They're trying to get rid of the in between, so there's no comfort zone where you can just live comfortably by not having to bust your ass and work so hard. Which is why they want to get rid of education, so that you don't get a degree, so that you have to do a skill or a trade job. Like, even skilled and trade jobs are hard labor. Being an electrician or a mechanic or a plumber, it's not easy work. It's physical labor. It's hard. There's nothing comfortable or easy about doing that shit. And so you're creating, all this physical labor shit. Everybody got to be a slave. Everybody got to work, And no matter how much money you make, you always going to struggle, because they're always going to try to keep raising the cost of living. And really trying to keep your wages down. Don't get rid of unions and stuff like that. Keep the federal minimum wage low. So, this is all by design. It's, like I said, the first chapter of that book called Silent Weapons for Quiet Wars. So, the silent weapon is using the economy. The war is the attack on our wallets, our bank accounts, which basically keeps us enslaved. And it's all by design. They keep trying to see how much they can get away with. So until we put our foot in their ass, until we come together and say, hey, we're tired of this shit. Y'all got to get the fuck out. All y'all politics, we got to start over. Like, just get rid of politics. We don't need politicians, running. We don't need anybody telling us what to do, how to run us. We can decide as a people for ourselves. And so we first got to come together as a people and stop all this dividing. See, they try to separate us by using racism, and it's really all bullshit, because there is only one race. That is the human race. That's the only race. Now, there are different ethnicities and different skin colors, but we are all the same race. We are all part of the human race. And until we realize that, and we keep letting them fool us by our appearances, and using our fucking appearance to separate us. Oh, you know, you're a boy, you're a girl, you're a man, you're a woman. You know, men should have the right to vote. Women should not. You know, women shouldn't have the right for their own bodies, over their own bodies for, you know, abortions or whatever. You know, blacks should be slaves. They don't have no freedom. All of this was created by them, because they're trying to make us look at each other like we're different when we're really all the same, just to divide us, to separate us, to keep us fighting each other. So the more that we believe the media and this propaganda and this bullshit, that we are all, you know, different colors and different races and different genders, when we are all God's children, we are all from one source. We are all God. You know, that's what created us. So we are therefore all God. We are only one race. We are all the fucking same. Everything is the same. It's all light. We are all light and energy. Everything is light and energy. Our creation is basically light and energy. We are just a fractal hologram. And like, you know, you only use 10% of your brains, and that's why you only experience 10% of your reality. The more of your brain that you use, like when you have an enlightenment experience, you can open your third eye, you will see God. And God is everywhere. God is in everything. He's in the air you're breathing. He's right in front of you. And he's been there all the time, because you are him, and he is one with everything. And when you see that God is everywhere, and you have this like deep appreciation for life and this gratitude and so thankful and so beautiful and so loving, and you understand, you know, how blessed and divine and, you know, how connected we are, it's like you'll see everything becomes one. It's all light, and it's all energy, and it's all frequencies. That's what you see with your third eye. You see like auras. You know what I'm saying? You see energy fields. You can see the energy coming from people's, you know what I'm saying, like halos and shit. You know, everything looks like it's transparent, like a hologram. Like you can see all the individual atoms or electrons. And it's like once you become one, that's how you do like interdimensional travel. When you raise your frequency and you go from matter to spirit, when you make that transfer from matter to spirit, and then you can see you could do interdimensional travel then. You could do astral projection. But you're going from a matter back to your spirit, and you are becoming part of that one again. Because our spirit is part of the one. And our matter, our bodies, is what keeps us separated. It makes us look like we have different genders, different ethnicities, or they call it races. When really we are all one. We are all the same spirit. We're all the same God or essence. And when you have that ability to see that, you know, well, I had several like third eye opening experiences where I could see, you know, basically using like psychedelic mushrooms and stuff like that. But you got to use drugs to do this shit. And then also you can't eat. The food is poisoning us, and the food is what keeps us for the light from going up. It keeps the light and the energy from flowing, because it's poison. It's blocking our chakras. The food is. So you have to go like several days without eating, at least 24 hours without eating. But the less you eat, the better. And so basically you become one with everything. So you can like, it seems like you can move through the walls. Basically I can touch my hand, it'll go through the table. You know what I'm saying? It looks like I can just walk through the walls. Like everything starts becoming light and energy, and it starts looking transparent, like a hologram. And it looks like a hologram. You can touch it and your hand will go through it. That's how everything starts looking. And so basically at that time you can start, I had this experience, like I could start telepathically communicating with other spirits, hearing people's thoughts, and like seeing the past, present, and future all at the same time. Different timelines, infinite timelines. I saw my death like over 1 million times, every single possible different way. My life, like in an infinite different amount of possibilities. And it was like so close. Each lifetime was just a little variation different. And I saw different extraterrestrial beings. And I could communicate with them. Some of them were good, some of them were evil. I could hear the reptilians, the Draco reptilians. Like they were just watching me. You know, they were like, oh shit, he can see us. He knows he can hear us now. He knows we're here. They were like, we gotta get rid of him. We gotta get him. Watch him, you know what I mean? It was just a enlightenment, or becoming your spirit, and realizing that we were all the same. It's a beautiful thing, you know, and that is what we have to do though. If you don't do it spiritually or whatever, you know, we need to just come together as a people and stop fighting each other and just realize this is all a fucking game. This was all a fucking game. Like, we are all a fucking experiment. And they are just trying to control it. They were created us to be slaves when we have the potential to be so much more, to be even greater than them. Because we have the ability to ascend spiritually. And some of the things that they are doing is keeping them from ascending. So we have the power or the control or the ability to ascend higher than them spiritually. You know what I'm saying? But we got to stop eating the poisons. We got to stop eating, you know, the pork, you know what I'm saying, the processed foods. You know what I'm saying? You got to stop eating the bullshit food and eating less. You know, try to just do fasting. Try to just eat once a day. You know, stop filling your body with bullshit all day. You will never fucking, you know, allow the energy to flow through your body. You know what I'm saying? It's keeping you fucking sick and fat and lazy and tired all the time. You know, you'll see that if you only eat once a day, you'll have more energy. You will. I mean, I've done it, you know. And I have a lot more energy when I eat once a day. So you got to stop eating the bullshit. You know what I'm saying? You got to start taking care of yourself and taking care of each other and start realizing that we are all the same. You know what I'm saying? We're all one. And you got to stop believing the bullshit, you know, all the lies that they taught. Like I said, you need to read this book, Behold a Pale Horse, by William Bill Cooper. And then watch this video on YouTube called Everything is a Lie. It's by, just look up Lloyd Pye, L-L-O-Y-D. That's Lloyd and then Pye, P-Y-E. Lloyd Pye, Everything is a Lie. And he will show you how the Anunnaki created us, how Darwinism is a lie, and there's this big gap in evolution theory. And history and science, you know, we used to believe the world was flat. You know, all new scientific paradigm shifts are met with contentment and disdain, and they try to fight and hold on to the old ways. You know, they want to keep us in the dark because science was created by the people that were in power, that are making all the laws, that are making all the books, that are trying to keep us from figuring out the truth of our reality and our existence and why we were created and our potential. They want us to think we're monkeys. They don't want us to know that we're gods and we have the ability to ascend spiritually higher than they are. If we can come together but we have to come together until we are all one, until we realize that we are all the same. That we are all the same. Everything is one. Until we have that mental consciousness shift, as like all people come together and we all realize that we are one, because we're all connected. But it's like our reality is not reflective of our true nature, our spirit. So until we can align our reality on this earth and come together as one and work together and becoming, you know, we love ourselves, help each other. You know what I'm saying? Until you have that love for God, you will never awaken up. You'll be stuck here in this as prisoners, as slaves forever. And that's what they want. That is the devil. That is the reptilian. That is the serpent in the Bible. You know what I'm saying? It's so complex, man. It's so complex. I mean, some of this shit is biblical. It's all prophecy. It's very deep. It is deep. It's very complex. And that's why they have to keep you dumb. And they don't want you to get education. They don't want you to critical think. They want you to just work, get a fucking job, go to school, get a fucking job, and just work until you die. You will never spiritually ascend. You will be matter. You will be a slave. You will be a piece of meat for them to control. But we have eventually, in order for us to evolve, we have to become one again. We have to become God. Because we are all God. We are all one. Essentially, that's what created us. We're all the same. We're all one race. Just a human race. But until we, get out of our bodies and go back into our spirit, we're just stuck here as slaves, as a piece of meat on this planet for them to control and manipulate and enslave and feed off of. And that's what they want. So we got to come together, man. You got to start reading books about, your chakras. I just ordered this book by Luna something. It's called The Book of Wisdom by Luna Sophia. I think it's The Book of Wisdom by Luna Sophia. And it talks about your diet and blocking your chakras with the poison, with the food. And it's causing a lot of health problems now. And like the Anunnaki, these people in control, these elites, they own all the pharmaceutical companies. They own the insurance companies. And they are just killing us with the food, poisoning us, and then just selling us more medicine to keep us addicted. And they're not fixing anything. They're not curing anything. They're just sucking the fucking life out of us. And then, feeding you this bullshit science about the food pyramid and that you need to eat 3 meals a day of this. And bread is not good for you. Gluten is not good for you. You really need to cut the carbs out. You know what I'm saying? Or if you're going to eat some carbs, eat some rice. You know what I'm saying? Whole grain rice. You know what I'm saying? Really, that's probably the only carb you should be eating is whole grain rice. You know what I'm saying? Eat your meats and your fruits and your vegetables. Try to stay away from the pork and drink a lot of fucking water. You know what I'm saying? Stay away from the alcohol. You know what I'm saying? And I do all the shit that I'm not supposed to do because I fucking eat all the bullshit in the McDonald's sometimes, and I do drugs and I drink. And, that's how you lose your third eye. You know what I'm saying? Because I had moments when my third eye was open, but as soon as I started drinking and doing other drugs and eating the fucking McDonald's and shit, that shit, the pineal gland just shuts down and you can't see, what I'm saying, the truth anymore. You know what I'm saying? So that's my fault, you know what I'm saying? But I'm working on bettering myself. We can all do this shit together. You know what I'm saying? So stop buying the bullshit and stop believing everything that you have been taught, everything you see in the media. Use your brain, man. You know what I'm saying? This shit is divine. You know what I mean? You are gods. You're not slaves. You're not monkeys. You are a divine spiritual being. And we are all the same. We are all one. We're all the same. There's only one race. It's the human race. That's what we are. You know what I'm saying? Just because you're a different color, because you're a different avatar, in this fractal hologram, which is what you think is reality, it's not. This is all an illusion. This is all, you just can't see it because your third eye ain't open because you eating the bullshit that they give you in this third dimension. Once you open this up right here, you can see the fourth dimension, the fifth dimension, there's infinite dimensions. You know what I'm saying? There are infinite realities and you can see all of them. You know what I'm saying? You can be all of them at one time. And that's what you really are. We are infinity. We are light and energy, and we are infinite. We are immortal because light and energy, that's the law of first law of thermodynamics. Energy cannot be created nor destroyed. First law of thermodynamics. And we are light and energy. We are infinite. We are immortal. Our spirit is. Therefore, we have infinite possibilities. We live on infinite dimensions. We are everything and nothing at the same time. We are in infinity. We are one, but one is everything. Everything came from one. You know what I'm saying? But like that's the only way God could, experience, a physical reality. Because when you try to translate infinity or God into a reality, it becomes infinite possibilities. That is God. He is everywhere, everything, all at once. So until you realize that, you know what I'm saying, we're going to be stuck here as slaves, man. Being me, we got to come together, man. We got to start loving each other. We have to raise our vibrational frequency by getting out of the sadness, the fear, the anger, the fighting, the discrimination, the racism, the greed and the selfishness. And we got to start raising our vibration to being loving, caring, to be grateful, appreciative. You know what I'm saying? Like, that is our true spirit. That's how you get out of, and then stop eating the food, man, and start raising your spiritual vibrations and start really not just preaching the word or going to church, but believing and practicing. You know what I'm saying? Because just because you go to church don't make you a spiritual person. You know what I'm saying? And there's another thing. I'm not even religious, because religion is all a bunch of bullshit. It's all lies. That just divides us. That's another way that they divide us. You're a Muslim, you're a Christian, you're a Jew, you're a Catholic, you're a Presbyterian, you're a Jehovah's Witness. No, God is all one. There are no different religions that just divide us and have them fighting. Our God's better than yours. Your God is the fucking same. There's only one God. We're all the same, and it just divides us. Anything that divides us, like politics, sports, it just distracts us. Religion, it's all just a distraction. It's to keep us fighting each other. Oh, the Patriots are better than the Saints. You know what I'm saying? The Redskins are better than the Cowboys. Who gives a shit? Who gives a shit? It's all a distraction. They use entertainment, the internet. You know what I'm saying? The music, the media, YouTube, everything. It's all a fucking distraction. You know what I'm saying? Just to keep you from seeing what's really going on, from waking up mentally. You know what I'm saying? We need to have like an evolutionary consciousness shift where we all realize that we're all the same, and that we got to stop eating the bullshit that they're giving us, man. They're fucking killing us with this food, with the McDonald's, with this fast food shit. You know what I'm saying? All the processed foods. You know what I'm saying? The glucose, the fructose, the canola oil, the soybean shit. You know what I'm saying? All that shit is bad for you. All that shit blocks this right here. You know what I'm saying? So, I love y'all, man. Spread the word. You know what I'm saying? Share the video, man. Like, this shit is very deep. It's very complex. And like I said, you got to see that video, man, by Lloyd Pye, Everything is a Lie. It explains how the Anunnaki created us, how we only use 10% of our brain. They are still in control. The Anunnaki, we were created as slaves. They are still, writing the books on science, trying to keep us in the dark, telling us that we came from monkeys. And it explains why we have a lot of these problems nowadays. Also, that book, Behold a Pale Horse. It's a classic book, and it explains everything that is happening right now. And this is prophecy. 20 years ago, I read this book, and it's all coming to fruition. And it's scary, but at the same time, like, have no fear. Like, God is here. We are God. We will fucking overcome. But we have to do it together. You know what I'm saying? And so when we get fed up with lies and the bullshit, and we start waking up and seeing all of this shit that they're doing and how they've been lying to us since the beginning of time, they have been in control. They have been controlling us, and we have been slaves. And I am fucking tired. I'm fucking tired of the bullshit. I'm really fucking just done. You know what I'm saying? So when y'all get fed up, when y'all ready to start looting all these rich people or whatever, you know what I'm saying, we got to come together though, man. Call me when you're ready to start looting though. I love y'all, man. Peace.